Time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join News Director Paul David and News Editor Philip Katafamo as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics in Yavapai County that affect all our lives. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to another episode of Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Katafamo. I'd like to thank you for joining me. On today's show, we are talking with the president of the Sedona Chamber and Commerce and Tourism Bureau, Candace Strauss. Ms. Strauss, welcome on to the show.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Well, we're happy to have you here, Candace. So I thought we would start out just kind of in general regarding the Chamber itself for those like myself who weren't super aware of what the Chamber does and how it operates. So let's start with this. What is a Chamber of Commerce and how does it operate in the community?
Chamber of Commerce, we are a 501c6 nonprofit membership organization representing our business community. So essentially we're the voice of business. And we really feel not only are our member businesses our stakeholders, but so is our community, because if we don't have a healthy community, how can we have a healthy business? So we advocate for policies that create a positive business climate. We are also the acting and official tourism bureau, so obviously that's a big part of what we do. And so that's really what a chamber is, as a catalyst, convener, and a champion for the community.
And where do you guys get your funding?
Our funding comes from membership dues of those member businesses, as well as from sponsorship, promotion, and then public funding from the city for that tourism function.
So you come from, for those of you who don't know, Candace does have some ties here to Arizona. You took a summer course at ASU.
I did.
But did a majority, I would say, if not all of your bachelor's degree at Miami University of Ohio. Candace is originally from Ohio. She got her minor in European Studies and Spanish. Also studied abroad in Spain, which is really cool.
Yes.
You say Barcelona.
Barcelona.
For those of us who did not get a chance to go to Barcelona, we have to keep saying Barcelona.
Yeah.
But you've served in so many positions throughout your career, one of which you started at Destination DC, correct?
Yes, sir.
And going from there, following the events of 9/11, you were working for a football team, the Washington football team. They were formerly a different name. So you've served also with the Ringling Brothers. You've served with Barnum and Bailey, Disney on Ice. We were talking a little bit about that beforehand, about Candace's experience with Disney on Ice. But more recently, you come from Big Sky, Montana.
Yeah.
I love Montana. I have never been, but I've seen pictures, and I've always wanted to live there. I have a dream of buying a big plot of land and putting a fortress in Montana because I just love the open skies of it. Our producer Ryan went to Montana State, I believe.
Yes, he's a Bobcat. We were talking about that.
Yes, and so like I mentioned, you come from us from Big Sky, Montana. Can we talk a little bit about, just in general, what your position there was?
Sure.
And some of the stuff you were able to accomplish?
Yes, I was the president of the Big Sky Chamber and Visit Big Sky, so mirrored my role here. What we were able to accomplish there is that in the time I was there, Big Sky became the highest grossing bed tax collector in the state of Montana, because it is a very much sought after destination. But similar to here, growing pains come with that.
Right.
Infrastructure of a local community. Big Sky was born a ski resort, literally, in 1973, so very young. It's unincorporated. It straddles 2 counties. It's completely encapsulated by public lands. It's an outdoor recreation destination. So tons of parallels from Montana. I was going to say, it sounds exactly like
Sedona. It sounds exactly like Sedona.
Except 10 months of winter. So I'll take the sunshine. That was obviously a huge draw in coming over here.
Yeah, and then of course we do get some snow in Sedona, not to the extent of course Big Sky, Montana, but so you talk about some of the parallels between that area and Sedona, of course. I know you mentioned the weather, but more specifically, what did attract you to the job here in Sedona?
The opportunity. I mean, Sedona is a world-renowned destination. The eyes of the world are on us. And right now, under Arizona's first sustainable tourism plan, we have an opportunity to really model how we want our visitors to come and treat our community where we live. And so I saw that opportunity, not to mention the fabulous board and staff that are here, and that was a big draw for me. I also have family down the valley. Okay. They live in Tempe, and so it was great to be able to be closer to them as well.
You came into this position in such a weird time. We were talking about it before the show. You started officially with the city of Sedona in February of this year, which is interesting because you came kind of not necessarily fully out of the pandemic, but almost out of the pandemic. Yeah. But the problem is you're inheriting a employment issue and a housing issue. And I do want to talk a little bit about, how businesses are operating in Sedona right now and some of the challenges that might come with that. But I want to start, how did Sedona fare during COVID? Big tourism area, a lot of stuff for people to do that they weren't able to do, people not being able to travel, you're not getting those big 4th of July celebrations in the village of Oak Creek or even in Sedona in general, but how did Sedona businesses fare during COVID?
Well, obviously in March, they took a nosedive, as did the rest of the nation. However, our rebound was much quicker and much more of an opposite of that downward spiral, immediately back up. And so since the time of roughly April of last year, we've been faring very, very well. If you look at city revenues right now, they've posted the highest grossing 9 months on record in the history of the city. Yeah. However, there are some interesting things that have come about. Our lodging industry, however, has been down or flat since the same time last year, and actually if we're starting to look for January and February to pre-COVID, and that is because of the 2,500 room hotel that essentially has been unleashed on our community by the short-term rental ban being lifted in 2017 by the governor and the legislature. Yeah. So that is really a major root cause for a lot of our other issues and pain points that we have right now: traffic, trailhead congestion. A lot of that is coming from this the inability to mitigate that, because there was no parking requirement like there is for a traditional hotel. There was no employee housing or a payment in lieu of for all of these people that are coming here. Yeah. There was no trash collection services that would be sufficient to address all the people coming in the trash that they're producing. And so that is what we're dealing with now and trying to mitigate as best we can.
So it's not the issue of people not coming to Sedona, it's people coming to Sedona, they're just not staying there.
No, well, they are staying in short-term rentals.
Right, in short-term rentals, yes. And we talked a little bit about employment as well and affordable housing and stuff, which we'll get a little bit more into the next segment. But you starting out this position, you talk about some of the challenges there. I mean, what do you want to accomplish when, however long you decide to stay in this position? What do you want to accomplish there with Sedona?
Well, we want, like we said, we want our businesses to be healthy, and right now they have no workers. Part of that is an extension of the federal unemployment benefit that has been, really a disincentive for people to go back to work, but that is being lifted. Our governor did issue that will terminate here in Arizona very shortly, and he's actually incentivizing people to go back to work with a $2,000 payment for being there for X amount of time. So we need to get workers for our businesses, and a lot of that is connected to the housing issue. And so that is one of the things I would like to see happen. Where I came from, I actually was the vice chair of the Big Sky Community Housing Trust, which the Big Sky Chamber birthed. And is now its own standalone 501c3 nonprofit. It's a community land trust, so it can do land banking and purchasing land that then can help a developer come in and build it at a more affordable rate. It's doing a lot of deed restrictions so that it remains affordable in perpetuity. And so hopefully working with the city as well as the greater Verde Valley region, we can look to start some initiatives, as I'm sure you're going to be speaking in weeks ahead about that Verde Valley housing assessment.
Yes, we are. A little bit later next month, or actually I should say in July, I believe, we're going to be having some representatives come on and talk about the housing study, and so we won't talk too much about it here because we have an entire show dedicated to it. But we've still got some more countywide here with the president of the Sedona Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau, Candace Strauss. We will continue to talk about the beautiful area of Sedona and some of the challenges that Candace has to face in trying to fix some of the problems that are surrounding Sedona. So stay with us here on Countywide. We will be right back.
Terrifying jobs. Bull Rider, take 2.
Cliff, this seems like a really terrifying job. Why do you do it?
I love protecting the bull riders when they get bucked up.
How big are these bulls?
12 to 2,200 pounds of pure muscle.
You're not cowed by any of this, obviously. Is there anything that scares you?
Yeah. Distracted drivers terrify me.
Two things we can count on every year.
A new set of tax rules and great weather here in northern Arizona.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, locally owned and operated by Lewis Rice since 1997, is here for you all year long.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Office will help you in all of your taxing situations.
Electronic filing is always free with your tax preparation at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service.
Get more in return. Call 1-800-234-1040 for an office near you.
The EPA says C&B Construction ranks in the top 1% nationally. C&B Construction invites you to see what energy efficiency and indoor air quality can be. We have won another Department of Energy Innovation Award, and C&B Construction is the only contractor in the country to win 6 consecutive EPA Indoor Air Plus awards. Experience our zero-energy, move-in ready homes at Crossroads at Mingus.
C&B Construction, locally respected, nationally recognized. Find out more at C&B Homes.com.
Award-winning Soundbites Grill is an entertainment restaurant located in Uptown Sedona at the Hyatt Pinion Point Resort. Open for lunch and dinner, featuring fresh fish, all-natural hand-cut beef, even a full vegan menu. Family-friendly, open 11:30 to 9, late dining on Friday and Saturday. Soundbites Grill has some of the best views of the Sedona Red Rocks. Offers world-class entertainment, food, fun, and music.
Welcome back to Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Catafamo. On today's show, we are talking with the president of the Sedona Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau, Candace Strauss. In the first segment, we talked about Candace's background. She comes to us from, more recently, Big Sky, Montana, served in a similar role there. And a lot of the issues that Big Sky, Montana was having are very similar to Sedona, as we mentioned. Obviously, everybody knows Sedona is a huge tourism city, beautiful city with the Red Rocks that are, funny enough, right behind Candace in her little pop-up screen or background. But Candace, we talked a little bit about tourists. You said that obviously visitation in Sedona is going to be huge because there's hiking, there's outdoor stuff, there's camping, swimming, nice little shops. There's a candle shop where I think when they dip the candle in wax, it changes color. It's really cool. But we didn't talk about who is coming and visiting this area. Are we seeing more of our own people come up and visit Sedona? I know there's a few states that are still on lockdown, so are we getting out of area people now with restrictions starting to be lifted and the mask mandates starting to go in Coconino County? Who is visiting Sedona right now?
Yes, well, our typical visitor has changed during COVID. So previously we had a lot of international visitors coming to the Grand Canyon, but as we saw with international air service closed off to us, that almost came to a halt. That is beginning to look like it's going to come back. In addition, people from all over the country coming with these lockdowns, with air service at below 50%, down to close to 25 to 30% at many airports, we found more of our own Arizonans coming to Sedona over the past year. So from 2019, where we had about 40% of our visitation from in-state, that grew to 53% over the past year. We have to note that Phoenix is the fastest growing metropolitan in the nation, so it's bringing more and more people. A study just came out this week that said Arizona is the 9th fastest growing state overall. And so we have a lot of new people coming that are residents that need some education on how to recreate responsibly in the outdoors.
Yes, and of course we hit it home almost every week here, not only just on Countywide, but also just on our radio stations, is just making sure that people are smart, like you said, when they come up and recreate. Make sure that you don't leave your campfires still going, make sure they're dead out, don't drag your tow chains. There are so many, and especially now with Stage 1 fire restrictions being in place here in Yavapai County and also Coconino County. Stage 2 has already hit the southern part of the state, so it's only a matter of time before it starts coming up here into the northern part. And that can be mitigated if people are just smart when they come recreate up here. But so obviously, how did tourism fare during COVID? I mean, I would assume, like you said, we're seeing a lot more in-state visitors. So obviously it's people who are like, well, we can't go recreate in, in Big Bear in California this year, so let's go up to Flagstaff, or I should say, let's go up to Sedona and stay there if they're coming from Maricopa County. So do you think that maybe played a part slightly in that uptick of more area residents or more in-state residents coming up and visiting Sedona?
Well, absolutely. So what the global pandemic did is opened up the world of the outdoors to people as a vacation destination, whereas before they never considered that. Right. So it's nature's social distancing to be outside. Yeah. And so many people took advantage of that. So I think there will be the trend moving forward, a lot more visitation just from that fact alone.
Okay. Let's shift gears away here from COVID for just a second.
Sure.
The chamber budget for the next fiscal year, I believe you said you just came from that meeting, or you will be having that meeting?
We had a 5-hour meeting, city chamber joint work session last night.
Can we talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely.
So how did the meeting go, just in general?
I think the meeting went really well. It's a collaboration and a partnership, the city and the chamber. And there are things they do that we can't, and vice versa, things that we can do that they are unable to. So, however, they are listening to our residents who are saying that they've felt the increase in visitation, and it's time to take a pause on our marketing. So, they will not be funding any destination marketing efforts this year for the Chamber and Tourism Bureau. What we are working very closely on is mitigation efforts. So how can we look at trash removal on our forest public lands? How can we institute our first public transit system? So the city just hired their first public transit administrator, Robert Weber, who council approved the other day a launch of 2 public transportation programs. We'll have trailhead shuttles. We'll have an on-demand micro-transit system for 89A, the congested portion of 89A in West Sedona up through Uptown. Yeah. And so really starting to put some infrastructure in place that can better help with our visitor management.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it in terms of Sedona, big tourist area. Problem is, there's only really one road in and out of Sedona, so unfortunately it does get a bit crowded. So hopefully some of those infrastructure ideas will help to alleviate some of that congestion. What other projects are you working on for the city right now that you can talk about?
Where we are working very closely with the Forest Service in general. We have a lot of other partnerships with fellow nonprofits throughout the valley, such as the Sedona Red Rock Trail Fund, our Trail Keepers program, to help with trail maintenance and upgrades. And so really looking to hopefully facilitate a master forest plan with Ranger Tinderholt and her team, because as we've seen, the whack-a-mole phenomena is if you address one issue in one area without looking at the entire ecosystem, many times you just push that area, that issue down the road a little bit. And we're seeing that with some designated dispersed camping. So that's a huge initiative for us, because as we've talked about, the number of new people coming and experiencing our public lands who really don't know how to recreate on them or take care of them, there's a lot of work to do.
How's the future of Sedona looking right now?
I feel the future for Sedona is very bright.
Okay.
It's an amazing and magical place. People come here, and the difference between Big Sky and Sedona, because they're both beautiful places, is we saw from consumer sentiment in Big Sky that they see the beauty, they're awed by the beauty.
Right.
In Sedona, they're not just awed by the beauty, it's how the beauty changes you as a person and you leave different than you came. And so
I have been to Sedona multiple times since living up here in northern Arizona. I didn't get a chance to visit it when I was in college at Grand Canyon University, just because it was like an hour away. But you're right, it is a gorgeous area. All of the photos I've ever taken from hiking in this area have been in Sedona. They've just been landscape shots of the Red Rocks, because Sedona is just an absolutely gorgeous city.
Yeah.
And I hope that you've got some great ideas. I hope they all go in place for you and they all work out, because Sedona is just, like you said, you go there and it's got its own vibe, it's got its own feel, and you go there and you check everything out and then you leave and it's like, wow, what, like you said, it's a magical experience almost. Like, funny enough, you worked on Disney on Ice, almost like Disneyland here in Arizona.
No, we don't want to sound like it's on Disneyland, because it's an authentic experience. It's not a curated, fine-tuned one.
Of course, yes. Sedona is very, very unique. In a lot of ways. When we come back, we'll talk some more about the events that the Chamber has going on, along with walk and talks that Candace has been hosting. So that's going to come up on the other side of this break. Stay with us countywide. We'll be right back.
Who doesn't dream of home improvements? Perhaps your kitchen, the real living room. Maybe the bathroom, where you bookend your day. Langstrand Contracting is your one-stop shop from tear down to finishing touches. With 35 years of experience, Chris and his team will work with you to match your family's style and budget. Call Langstrand Contracting today for guidance in bringing your vision to life.
Hi, this is Greg at Verde Solar Power. You know, Arizona has lots of clean, renewable sunshine, and we want to help you take advantage of it with our quality solar installations, and we offer to beat any written offer on a residential solar electric system. So bring us your electric bill and let us show you how solar power will save you money. We're located conveniently here in the Verde Valley and are dedicated to helping the valley go solar. So remember, the energy solution comes up every morning.
Starting in the late 1920s, Grandpa Gettle and his brothers laid the groundwork for what would become a family legacy. Almost 100 years and 100 patents later, Gettle's High Desert Mechanical continues to raise the bar of quality heating, cooling, and plumbing products and services in the Verde Valley.
Call Gettle's High Desert Mechanical Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing at 567-2200 or online at Gettle'sHDM.com, providing solutions for your comfort. Don't settle, get Gettle's.
Welcome back to Countywide. On today's show, we are talking with the president of the Sedona Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau, Candace Strauss. Candace started the position in February of this year and has a lot of great ideas for the upcoming fiscal year, or just in general, a lot of great ideas for the city of Sedona in terms of expanding affordable housing and tourism and just the city itself. Candace, you host walk and talk events, which is something that I have not seen yet. I'll let you talk about that.
Sure.
I know you've hosted a few. How have they gone and what are they?
They've been great. Well, one, it's a way for me to get out and learn the trails around Sedona as well, because as you talked about, they're amazing and I need to make time to get out there myself. So I thought it would be a useful way to speak to many of my member businesses as well as community members about issues while I am hiking. So our first one was appropriately about the trails with the Sedona Red Rock Trail Fund, Kevin Adams, Sandy Heisinger, because we were making our annual donation of $100,000 for trail improvement to them, working with the Forest Service. The second one was on sustainability. As I've mentioned, you know, we are working under the first sustainable tourism plan here in Sedona. And so we had the Sustainability Alliance, who helps certify our businesses sustainable through their practices, out to talk that day. The most recent one was about events. Obviously, events through COVID have been impacted very negatively, you know, completely not happening. Right. And now we're seeing them come back. So it was really to kind of understand from our event producer side, which helps contribute to our vital and lively destination and community, where they are on things. And the next one coming up in July, we'll be speaking to housing, as we've talked about that crisis, and we need to be talking about it a lot more. So,
just real briefly, if you are interested just to learn about the Sedona Chamber or become a member, or just looking into those walk and talk events with Candace, SedonaChamber.com is the website. I have not been hitting that enough here on the show, and the phone number is 928-204-1123 if you want to call the main office and speak with somebody regarding that. We got about a minute. Yep. What other events are coming up?
Well, our annual partner meeting is happening on June 24th out at the Sedona Golf Resort in the village of Oak Creek. So we have already sold almost 100 tickets. So if anybody wants to go, they need to get their tickets now. But it'll be our first in-person networking event. We will be bringing on new board members to start the fiscal year, thanking those who have given their service, and talking about the year ahead and our scope of work.
Again, if you're interested in just learning more about the Sedona Chamber, SedonaChamber.com is the website. Their phone number, again, is 928-204-1123. President of the Sedona Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau, Candace Strauss, thank you very much for coming on. We're excited to see what you do with the city. Thanks. Sedona is absolutely gorgeous, and we look forward to seeing how you grow it.
Thank you very much.
That is going to do it for this episode of Countywide. Again, SedonaChamber.com is the website, 928-204-1123. That is this episode of Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Katafmo, wishing you a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.